it's invaluable.
Do you think anyone can do that? Because what I've noticed with this listening is that if people are not comfortable with silence with themselves, especially because I teach yoga and meditation. So when I teach meditation, there's a lot of silence. And, the more people practice, the more they learn that, okay, it's fine to be in silence. And then also for listening, I've learned that, yeah, if you have learned it yourself, then it's very easy to sit with someone in silence and really, really listen. And I love what you said. It's like listening doesn't mean problem solving, because that what I experienced when I was depressed and someone, you share a little bit and it's just blah, 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 all the solutions. I'm like, I know those solutions. I've read like plenty of books. I've listened to all the podcasts. I know all the solutions, but like you're saying, just the listening part. And I am, in my experience, not everyone is actually available for that. What's your experience with listeners?
Yeah, and exactly right. So people, not everyone is available for that, and not everyone's comfortable with sitting in silence. Um, and again, the listening part of that is just a thought and what I think is very important. And again, it might not be everything. It might not be 100% of the time. But if you struggle with listening or you struggle with staying in silence, you know, offering support. Is there a way that I could, or is there something, for example, if you're in a really bad place right now, Monta, and I said, how are you doing? Like, honestly, really? And you were to share with me, look, I'm having a really shit day. I feel like I can't get out of bed, or I don't even want to face the world. And I would sit there and just listen as much as I can. And then if I feel like I'm not a listener or I don't like the silence, I'd be like, I understand you've just told me from what I'm hearing. You're telling me you're having a hard day. You don't really know if you can get out of bed. You're not really functioning correctly. Is there something that I can do that will make you feel better?
Mm.
Can we call someone together? Can I go to the shops for you and get something? Just little things like this sometimes can feel astronomical for someone that's struggling. And
Yeah.
to offer that help there can really take away some of the burden and some of that relief. And I think that's really important, especially if someone's at a point in their life where they know they're struggling, their friends know they're struggling, they're open to their friends' support, but they're not willing to get professional support because they
Mm.
don't believe it works or they don't believe that it's the right thing for them to do. So what I would say to that is, and again, this is personal advice from years of experience and lived experience and working alongside psychologists and everything else, is I would literally sit there and say, would it make you feel more comfortable if maybe I take charge and call around certain places in the local area and we can find someone that we can go and chat to together, and maybe I can come with you? Would that make you feel more comfortable? A lot of times it would, because it's very
Yeah.
daunting going to a place like that by yourself. You don't know what you're asking for. You don't know what you're about to do, and you're about to, own up to. So I think that's also very helpful. But I think at the end of the day, listening and being non-judgmental in whatever you do,
Mm.
not try and speed talk over them to try and provide all these great solutions. Because I find sometimes, me personally in the past, is when that's happened to me, I felt like a little overwhelmed. When
Mm.
there's too many solutions, it's almost like there's too
Definitely.
many. Forget about it. I don't even want any. I don't want none of them. There's too much. It's really funny, but it's like turning on Netflix and you're trying to look for a movie, right? There's amazing movies there.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's an Oscar-winning one. There's Departed. There's The Dark Knight. Old School, whatever it is. These are all great movies, but there's so many of them. I don't know which one I should watch, and
Yeah.
therefore it's all too much. I won't even watch any now.
Exactly.
It becomes too much. So I think what we've got to do is just keep it really simple, listen non-judgmentally, and offer support and be there when they need them. So if right now is not the right time, that's all good. No worries, Monta. If right now you don't feel comfortable to talk to me about how you really feel, no worries. I just want to let you know that I am here for you when you are ready, but I will check in on you from time to time to see how you're doing. And if that's a text, or an email or a message or a phone call, whatever is a good way to communicate, great. And that, might be 9 times out of 10. You might check in. How are you doing today? Is there anything I can help with? No. It might be no's for 9 days or 9 times. And the 10th time would be like, you know what? I need help.
Mm.
Yeah, can you please bring me a cup of coffee? Or can you please come around and just sit with me and watch Netflix? Whatever it is.
No.
There's always something that anyone can do to help. And there's always people out there that want to help you and that want to see you thrive and not just survive, because life's certainly not long enough just to survive, you know, and just to live.
Yeah. I loved what you also said, to repeat whatever they're saying if you understood correctly, like from the
Mm,
communication side, because very often someone is like, okay, I had a bad day. And then you, in your mind, you just like, okay, if she had a bad day or he had a bad day, probably this happened. And
mm,
actually, maybe not. Maybe they're just sad because it was not sunny, you know? Or I
yeah.
remember when I was depressed, my boyfriend was like, why are you sad? I'm like, because I'm not happy. Like that was nothing,
Mm.
you know, like, and actually asking that, like asking questions or repeating, like, did I understand you correctly? Like, are you like, is what you're actually feeling, or is it just like me making up things?
Yeah, and it reassures you in your mind that, and it's actually a really comforting feeling being on the other end of that. Once you speak, someone says, "What I'm hearing you say is that
Mm.
that 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 that." that." It gives you a sense of comfort. It really does. Even if it's
So
this is not
being
mental
heard.
health related, yeah. Even if we're talking about a script in a movie, like a script we're doing acting with or something, and I'm reading it, and from what I'm seeing it right, or from what I'm hearing you say to the teacher, is just that it just makes you feel so much more at ease. Because if there is something wrong, then it's another time for them to jump in and say, no, 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 it's this,
Mm,
rather than just assuming, because that's very dangerous.
exactly. Assuming is.
Mm.
Um, a question: how would you, maybe you sense that your friend or someone close to you has mental problems, depression, or suicidal thoughts, or something, like you just maybe sense a little bit. Um, how would you know?